But today we're going to turn corners. We're going to go to the mom factor. The mom factor. And let me start with something we've all seen. Two guys, same situation, same pressure, and they respond opposite. But the root is the same. For example, guy number one, he gets pushed by the woman, which might be the wife, the girlfriend, maybe mom, and it doesn't matter who it is. And he goes full bulldozer, right? Volume up, chest is out. He's thinking something like, I'm not doing that. He's got to win. He's got to be in charge. Guy number two, he gets pushed by a woman. Same setup. And he goes the other direction. He shuts down. He disappears. Maybe thinks something like, whatever you want, and he'll avoid it till it goes away. Now, here's the funny part, but really not so funny. It's kind of sad. And that's that both of those guys will swear that they're built that way. Either bulldozing or just avoiding. But a lot of the time, it isn't personality. It's training. Or maybe better yet, lack of training. Men I don't want you to miss this. Sometimes the way we react to women today has its roots or old roots or whatever you want to call them deep into our home that we grew up in with mom. And here's the deal. Before we start, I need to say something just to all of us, and that is, this session is not this bash on mom session. You know, this isn't like, let's bash on mom. That's not what it is. Most moms did the best they knew how with what they had at the time. Their intention was to love on you, and we have to keep that in mind. You know, in few occasions, maybe mom was out there to really tear you down, but that is very rare. And we talked about that in the last couple of sessions with Dad. If that was the case, you got to leave that person to God, because he is the one that is judge, right? He is the one that takes care of those kind of things. But we're going to talk about something real today, and that is mom. Mom is a powerful person in the life of a man. Powerful. And sometimes without meaning or intended to, what was meant for good can still leave wounds. And I believe that wholeheartedly. A well-intentioned mom sometimes will lead into a wounded child, who then ends up being a wounded man. Let me paint you a picture. A guy grows up with a strong-willed mom. He never learns to say no with respect. Then he gets married, and the moment his wife wants something different than he wants, he feels smothered. He can't stand up. He caves in, and then he resents his spouse, and he begins to distance, and eventually he's out. And the whole time what he's thinking is this: my wife is the problem. But he never dealt with the real issue. He never broke with mom. He didn't leave mom and cleave to his spouse, to his wife. He turned his wife into mom 2.0. And let's be honest, that's not rare. That's not like something that's unusual. That's actually now pretty common. Pretty common. So tonight we're not hunting for somebody to blame. We're hunting for something to see. That's what we're doing tonight. Because you can't fix what you won't face. For example, a guy tells his wife, we'll decide together. And the mom calls and says, so what are y'all doing? And he panics because he still feels like he needs her permission. He's not trying to be weak. He's just still tied in. And there's two significant breaks that a man has to go through. Two significant breaks. And the first break is this one. From physical bondedness. That's the first significant break with mom. Physical bondedness. Most of us understand that break. You were literally connected to your mom. All of us, no exception. Then birth comes, right? And there's a real separation. The cord is cut. Life shifts. How many of you got to cut the cord of your first child or one of your children? Yeah, I remember that day. And I still remember it. I mean, it's a lot of stuff I remember that I was like, wow, it's like a murder scene. Man, there's a lot of blood. There's a whole bunch of stuff. I'm like, oh my goodness, what is this? I had volunteered in the ER for many years, and man, nobody prepared me for that one. But then the moment came, my oldest son, Caleb, comes out of the womb. But he doesn't come out of the womb. They can't come out of the womb. And doctor says, you want to cut the cord. Cutting that cord is a very physical action. I still remember with my oldest, what love means, right? In the sense of there's no condition, the condition to love your children. Your child hasn't done anything right or wrong yet. They haven't really cried that much or said that much, really. They haven't done anything, and yet there's this overwhelming sense, man, I love my child, right? It's something some of us have done. And that's a real physical bond that gets cut. But there's another physical bond, and that is the physical bond of distance, physical separation. This is something we normally don't think about. But when that happens, either the cut of a cord, umbilical cord, or the separation of their son, of you, there's a real sense of depression. Some of you might have noticed with your spouses, the first child, they were connected before. Postpartum at times soon follows. That's why it's called postpartum, right? Postpartum depression. It happens also when the son leaves for the first time. He leaves the nest, goes to a different place, different state maybe, different city. Moms tend to have this sense of abandonment because there was a deep connection, because their relationship now has shifted. She feels that. And that's normal. That's expected. Nobody's confused about that one. Nobody's like, man, I didn't see that one coming. Or maybe at the time you might have not seen it coming when you left. But for the most part, we understand what physical bondedness means and what it means to cut it. But there's another one that's not really talked about, which is the one that we're going to talk about tonight, and that's emotional bondedness. That's the one we don't talk about. That needs to be broken. Emotional bondedness. This is where a boy has to move from mama's boy to a man in his own right. And that requires another kind of cut. It's not physical, like I said, it's emotional. Some cultures used to build clear moments into the lives of their boys where they were transitioning from the world of women to the world of men. Steps to enter into that world. You see it in tribal cultures. As a matter of fact, maybe in years past, you could see it here in America. But that's not common. That's not something that is done. That's not something that we tend to experience. A transition of sorts where we know we've gone from the company of women to the company of men. So what happens? Well, a lot of men grow up looking towards their mom and become tied to their mom. Mom's emotions, mom's approval, mom's expectations, mom's control, and sometimes lightly, sometimes deeply, right? Because it wasn't that clear moment. I don't want you to miss this. Don't miss this. When the emotional cord stays connected, it shows up later. And it shows up in relationships. It shows up in marriage. Let me give you a healthy pathway. Real health for a man with mom moves him from oneness with mom, literally, you're inside the womb, to a healthy physical separation. The umbilical cord gets cut, or you move away, right, spatially, to a healthy emotional separation, to oneness with a woman relationally, which is your spouse, your future spouse, and for some of you. Now, Genesis nails it in the head with one sentence. In Genesis chapter 2, verse 24, most of you are familiar with that verse. Genesis 2:24 says, this explains why a man leaves his father and mother and is joined to his wife, and the two are united into one, or the two become one flesh. This really matters because the word leave is explained as one that's moving out. It carries an idea of cutting, like you sever a tie. And it's not a cutting of love. It's not disrespect. It's not cut in the unhealthy, it's cut in the unhealthy attachment with mom. That's what you're cutting. It's a real separation so a new unity can be healthy. You want a healthy marriage, a healthy relationship with your spouse, or the person you're doing a relationship with, headed towards marriage. There has to be some sort of separation, healthy separation. If that leave doesn't happen emotionally, your marriage pays for it. It pays for it. You may be in a date night in a truck, right? Headed towards your date night. Your wife brings up a simple decision. Holiday plans, maybe the use of money, maybe where the kids are going to school, and you freeze. Because you can already hear mom's voice in your head. And you stall, and your wife feels alone. Because you feel paralyzed, like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to say. For some of us, that's way too real. So tonight I want to explore the mother wound. Let me give you a definition. This is the definition we're working with. The mother wound is an unhealthy emotional relationship with mother. Emotional relationship with mother that causes the son to either be threatened by the influence of women later in life or to over-identify and become submissive to that influence. In other words, some guys feel like women are a threat. So they guard, they control, become detached, and the second she pushes back, you get tight and you clamp down. Right? Because women become a threat. The other guys melt, they defer, and they let women steer everything. For example, you'd rather give in than deal with the tension, so you just let her run things at home. Just let her run things. Just let her run whatever she needs to run. Neither one of them is healthy. And both can trace back to the same root. A deep mother wound. Let me give you some important characteristics about the mother wound. First of all, it's not blatant. It's subtle. It's subtle. This isn't always a big, ugly wound everybody can see. It's not that obvious. It can be more like a paper cut. It's small. It's easy to ignore. Boy, it still hurts. You still feel the zinger. Let me give you an example. You may say, like, nothing bad happened, but you still feel tied up to mom when she's upset. When mom is upset, you may be already moved on to your relationship with your marriage, But if mom is upset, you're all frazzled. You're discombobulated. You're like, man. See, it's that subtle. You might be like, well, what's going on? It's subtle. It's subtle. The wound is subtle. Here's number 2. This wound, the woman or the mother wound, is not abuse. It's not neglect or absenteeism. This is disguised as love and care. It's disguised as love and care. That's why it's tricky. That's why it's really difficult. It looks nurturing. It looks sweet. It can even look godly. But it can still be unhealthy. That's the way this guy says, but how can it be bad? It's mom, that's her love and that's her care, right? Let me give you an example. She loves you, but you feel like you can't breathe unless you do what she wants. That's the mother wound. Number 3, this wound is not inattention. Like she didn't pay attention, she just kind of moved on, you were neglected. This wound has more to do with over-attention. Over-attention. So much so that you became her world. You became the sun in the galaxy. Right? In everything you did, she hovered over you. Maybe she was a helicopter parent. Where you were at, she was at. She was hovering with you. This is not a mom didn't care. More like mom cared so much she got too involved. Too involved. She was all over it. So you never learned to carry your own weight. You didn't have to. You didn't have to carry your own weight. Mom would carry the weight. Not a big deal. Over attention. Over attention. Number 4 is, it looks like love, but man, it sure feels like control. It looks like love, but it feels like control. And this is where it really gets real, because at some point, it starts feeling like support. And it starts feeling like you're chained up, like you're in a leash. This is an example. If you don't do it her way, you pay for it. With silence, with guilt, and maybe even with drama. Manipulation is a good word as well. And that's stemming from, it looks like love, but it sure feels like control. And that's a mother wound. And by the way, these wounds, it's interesting, and I'll talk about it a little bit further on, but you might be thinking about mom right now, and some of you have already made the connection I'm going to make in a little bit. That sounds a lot like your wife. Right? In some cases. We're going to talk about that in just a second. Number 5 is this. This mother wound is powerful enough to shape or warp the masculine psyche. It warps the masculine psyche. It can mess with your instincts as a man. It messes with your confidence. It messes with your decision making. If somebody is hovering all over you, there's no need for a decision making. If somebody is nurturing, carrying you, I'll get that for you. You don't have to worry. Come over here. She's still carrying you, and you're like in your, pretty old now. You're not 7 years old anymore. As a matter of fact, at 7 you shouldn't be carried. But you're being carried. It's an issue. Your ability to lead gets impacted. Your ability to say no without guilt gets probed and prodded. For example, you know what you should do, but you can't pull the trigger because you're afraid of messing up. You're afraid of messing up. Sometimes afraid of messing up, we get it from dad because you're trying to be approved, but sometimes the fear of messing up is because we didn't have to deal with stuff growing up. Somebody else dealt with that stuff. Mama dealt with that stuff. And then eventually it wasn't mama, it was wifey dealt with that stuff. Ever met a grown man, and you don't have to admit this, met a grown man who can't move without checking what mom or what spouse thinks first? That's not honor. That's a chain. For example, a grown man is about to set a boundary. He even knows it's right, but he can't hit send on that text because he can already feel the guilt trap that's coming from mom. It's going to come back. So he drafts it, he deletes it. Maybe he sends it, and with today's technology, he unsends it. And nothing changes. He may even fear of getting in trouble or doing it wrong. Which, by the way, that fear is rooted in an overly bonded mother wound. How does this happen? How do we get here? Well, it often begins with the absent or distant father. Full circle. Full circle. It often begins with the absent or distant father. A lot of times it starts right here. Dad is absent or distant. He's not always physically gone, but sometimes he's there, but he's not really there. He's in the house, but he's checked out. So mom, what does she do? She jumps in, fills the gap. She becomes the main voice. She becomes the main presence. She becomes the main comfort. And she becomes the main authority. And then the boys grow up in a world dominated by female influence. Like where? Home, school, sometimes church. And they're trying to figure out masculinity without a clear male model. I don't want you to miss this. This is what some writers call the feminized man. The feminized man. Now, it doesn't mean that he's effeminate. Like, for example, it's not like he's got girly manners or looks. It's the feminized man is a person that can look really, really tough. Maybe the toughest in the room. But inside, he's learned to operate like passive, waiting, not initiating, not stepping up. That's the feminized man. Passive, waiting, not initiating, not stepping up. And here's another modern twist. A grown son moves back home after he's graduated from school, and mom slides right back into, I'll take care of you. Right? Mama mode. I'll do your laundry, I'll do your food, I'll do your schedule, I'll do your decisions, because there was never a clean cut. I told Marisa, those boys are not coming back. If they graduate or this is not going to be a place that they're going to live. They're not moving back home. And if we ever did that, they're going to be charged rent. They're going to have to pay like if it was a restaurant or you have to cook for them. Just so we can avoid this wound. There needs to be a cut, a separation. Also, it can also be influenced by one of four types of moms. One of four types of moms. So here's a couple characteristics of different types of mom. There's the ignorant mom. This is not dumb. This is not bad. A mom intending to be bad. She's just unaware of the power they have. They don't recognize the moment when their boy needs to become a man and take ownership of that. So they keep doing it for him what he should be doing for himself. I'm in that zone right now with my oldest, who's 22, and having that almost combative conversations with my bride saying, stop it. Let him discover. Let him figure it out. Right? Oh, he's got a flat, and can you go? And I'm not going nowhere. He knows how to fix a flat. If he doesn't, he can figure it out. But there's no buts in this. Now, well-intentioned mom wants to help, wants to nurture, wants to take care of it, wants to make those calls. As a man, it's like, no, it's more harm than it is good. Let's talk about this. It's a conversation to have with your spouse. If you're getting there, if your kids are still in school, great, the conversation is soon to come. Probably should be happening already. At every phase in life, there's a conversation that needs to happen. When you have elementary age boys, they're rough and tough. And it's all right. Sometimes it gets out of hand. Sometimes they punch each other. It's all right. They're boys being boys. Okay. Well, that's a conversation we had to have with Marisa and I. And then it was middle school. Boys trying to be a boy in middle school. They're trying to figure it out. They're trying to figure out what it means to be a boy. And that's an awkward age. Middle schoolers, it's a fun age to teach because they're always making mistakes. I love it. Just as they think they're like, the big guy in the room, they say something really stupid and really dumb. And it's like, yes, Lord, thank you. But they're trying to figure it out. And it's talking to mama about, hey, he's going to start separating. And that's all right. That's a conversation we had to have, Marisa and I. Her feeling wounded by her sons beginning to separate. I was like, this is healthy. This is where I kick in. This is where we do basketball. This is where we do stuff outside. This is where dad starts really dialing it into that relationship. Then high school, I get another conversation. They're trying to figure it out. What does it mean to have a relationship with a girl? And it's having that conversation for me with Marisa, like, yo, we need to initiate physicality, affection. They need that appropriate affection. They go off to college. Man, it's tough. Another conversation. Well, they don't call me anymore. Right? And listen, they're going through another phase. They're not going to call you that often. But it's okay. At first, no girlfriends. All right, they show up. Right? Because the food is at the house and the good food. Not on the campus. After girlfriends, man, we barely hear from them. At home, a wounded mother. And it's like, listen, babe, we gotta cool the jet. Let's cool our jets here. The engine needs to be cold here because they're trying to figure it out. And just working through those phases. I'm dreading the next phase, which will be when they choose to get married. There'll be another separation there. And a more meaningful separation there, because now we're talking about the physical cut. Those conversations need to happen. If he's 18 and she's still waking him up like he's in 3rd grade and she's talking to him like he's a little boy, oh my little baby, that love ends up suffocating masculinity. That's the first mom. Number 2, needy, hurting moms. Needy, hurting moms. Again, this is not like bad mom, oh, point a finger, No. This is well-intentioned, good-willed women trying to help their sons grow into maturity. Number 2 is the needy, hurting moms. Mom's relationship with dad is broken, distant, or gone, and the son becomes the replacement man in the house. Not officially, but emotionally. There's an argument between you and her. Next thing you know it, she's with the son. Maybe in the other room, talking about dad and how dad X, Y, and Z, instead of there being a conversation between you and her. And son starts to become this replacement man in her life. Seen that in my own experience. Had to address that in our own experience. Had to go to Marisa here as well and say, hey, I know it's easier when you're hurt to pull away. It's easier for me to pull away. And I know it's easier for you just to pick up the phone and call our oldest son because he's a listener. But I just want to tell you, that's not good. Let's flesh it out before we start talking with our kids about it. Let's figure this out. He's not me. It's the needy, hurting moms. So when he starts growing up, she clings because letting him go feels like being alone again. That's what's happening there. She feels alone. And he meets a need. He meets a need. Some of you saw that growing up. Especially if you had dads that weren't present or they were there but not there. Maybe you were one of the guys that became that replacement man. The emotional support. Here's number 3. Unwilling to release moms. That's you. Unwilling to release moms. These are the controlling types. Strong-willed, dominant. They make it hard for a son to say, no, mom, we're doing our own thing. We're doing what's best at home. No, this is the unwilling to release moms. And it puts him between two women. Who? Mom and wife. And is caught in between them both. Where he feels torn and where he feels weak. Here's the 4th one. Filling the gap moms. The filling the gap moms. And this one, dad is gone. Divorce. Maybe death. Abandonment or whatever. And mom has to step up. That's understandable. But if she never brings strong mentor males into his life or the boy's life, she can accidentally, not purposely, but accidentally bond too much, too deeply, and keep him dependent. The son becomes dependent now. I see that in my brother. As the divorce was imminent, my dad was home but not home. My brother was the one that my mom relied heavily. And so he was the one making the calls. He was the one making the payments. There was a language barrier. My mom is Spanish only. So my brother, he was the one making those, quote, man of the house conversations with bank, with utility bills, payments. What does that yield? And overly dependent on mom, son. Hear me out. Some of you have been blaming your wife for years, and the real issue is that you never learn to separate clean from mom. Let me give you an example. Sunday lunch comes. Mom makes a comment, small but sharp. about your wife's cooking. Some fighting words, cooking. Parenting, or how you all are doing. Your wife goes quiet, you feel the tension, and you do nothing because you don't want the blowback. That's not peace. That's avoidance. That's avoidance. So how does it manifest itself in adulthood? How does it manifest itself in your life? How does it show up? Let me show you two responses. And I suspect that most of you will land on one of these two unless you had a really healthy relationship with your mom. First of all, the first response is men become dominant and controlling towards women. Some men grow up under that over-involvement and they hate it. Hate it. They feel crowded. So they take the fight to mom, or they take the fight to relationship. They take the fight to spouse. Because they're carrying that into adulthood. They're carrying the fight into adulthood because they hated it. So now every woman for that person in that category feels like a threat. If a wife asks a question, it feels like control. If she challenges a decision, it feels like disrespect. If she wants clarity, it feels like pressure. Instead of learning healthy leadership, he goes to the dominant, harsh, stubborn, intimidating, because deep down he's still fighting mom's shadow. That's what he's fighting. Mom's shadow. Here's the way it can look like in real life. He has to win every discussion now. He uses volume and sarcasm or shutdown to end it. Some men will not lay a hand on their wives, but they've laid a hand through their words to their wives. I don't know about you. In some occasions, that's the struggle. Is to know that we can do some verbal taekwondo on our spouses when they're having an emotional dysregulation or emotional discombobulation or whatever you want to call it. He treats disagreements like disobedience. That's that category. He says, I'm the man of the house, but what he really means, I'm not getting controlled again. That's what it really means. This is where it gets real. Control is fear trying to stay in charge. That's what it is. It's a man saying, if I don't stay on top of this, I'll get run over. Especially if you're married to a very assertive spouse. And the sad part is this, and that is he may even call it leadership. But leadership isn't forcing your way. Leadership is taking responsibility with strength and with humility. And that's what leadership is. You ever notice controlling guy is usually the most touchy guy? Ever seen that before? The quickest to get offended? That's insecurity. Hidden under toughness. So the cause is this, the house gets quiet. There's no peaceful quiet. It's walking on eggshells. She learns how to walk in eggshells. The kids learn how to walk in eggshells. Your wife starts choosing her words carefully. The kids start reading your mood before they even talk to you. That's what we see. That's one of the responses. Your wife stops feeling safe. Your kids learn to tiptoe. Your home feels tense, even on a good day. And for many years, thus was my home. Thus was my home. Would walk in, everything cleaned up. Almost everything. It looked good. Not that I was complaining or anything like that. But unbeknownst to me, before I got to the house, Marisa was already frantic, like, oh, he's going to come to the house. We got to start picking up. We start cleaning up. You guys need to go to your rooms, you know. And so they're frantic too. It's like, we got to pick up. We got to pick up. And I'm clueless to this. And so there's this culture of like standoffish and trying to make things right. Because mama's frazzled. So they're frazzled too. And I'm showing up like, what's going on? Like, why is everything so clean? Because at home, there's a mom that's overly guarding, and they're anxious. And then, I want you to hear me. This is not being soft. The answer isn't being like steady. The answer is actually being steady. Strong enough to actually listen to the opposite gender. Secure enough to not panic. Is firm without being harsh. Versus being aggressive and I gotta do something and making really stupid decisions. Domination will ruin a home, but steady strength can build one up. This is rooted all the way in Genesis. In Genesis chapter 3, verse 16. I want you to go there. Genesis 3:16. Genesis 3:16. But the Lord God warned him, you may freely eat the fruit of every tree in the garden. I'm sorry, that's chapter 2. 3. Jump to 3. I will make you pains in childbearing, very severe. With painful labor you will give birth to children. Your desire will be for your husband, and he will rule over you. He will rule over you. Now, we look at the word desire and think, oh man, she's going to be like, ooh, desire some over me. That's not what it means. And if you're married, you know that's not the case. Most of the time, girls aren't like, come on, baby. That's just not the way typical women are wired. Some of them are, but not all of them are wired that way. So what does the word desire mean? What does it mean that she desires for her husband? If it's not romantic, what is it? Well, the word there is a word that is used to pull towards control. A woman's desire is to control the relationship when a man doesn't lead well. Remember, this is in the context of Adam. What did he do at the garden? I'm sorry. What did he not do at the garden? He didn't say nothing. According to the context in chapter 3, I mean, there's no, yo, woman, let's not take that fruit. Or what are you talking about? God said blah, 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 blah. It's nothing like that at all. Matter of fact, she sees that it's desirable, that it's good, beneficial, and then it would make her supposedly wise. And so she takes of it. And then he partakes. He gives him to take some of it as well. You know, when we think about sin, we're quick to blame the woman. The woman's fault. She's the one that partook first. The original sin is a man that was passive. Who was held accountable? Adam first. And what does he do? It's the woman you gave me. Oh no, it was the serpent. Right? The chain of events is like, okay, let me blame the woman. Okay, let me blame the serpent. And the devil is like, yeah, that's mine. He's taking onus and credit. But in reality, it is Adam that was being passive. So when it says, one, you're going to have pain and labor, and your desire will be for your husband, and the counter thing is, and he will rule over you. What is our reaction when our spouse, for those of you who are married, when your wife wants to take control, what is your natural reaction? Knee jerk. I thought you said being a jerk. That one too. That'll count. What's that? You can let her. And then be what? Passive aggressive? Is this? Argue with her. What's that? Argue with her. Yeah, it's combative. It's a sling reaction. It's a rubber band. You pull it out and boom, it snaps back in. That's what's happening. So when it says he will rule over you, is the idea is like, oh, when you try and control your man, he's going to hit back. And that's what generally happens. We react viscerally back. But this is laid out in the context of being passive. And so I'll tell Marisa, And I tell people too, like, the biggest disservice I can do for my wife is not lead at home. Because when I don't lead spiritually at home or directionally at home, she is placed in a situation where she feels she has a desire for control. She's filling a gap. So oftentimes, if I look at clearly, she may, when she starts dominating, it's because I'm passive. It's because I'm passive. This same word is only used once before. And is used of Genesis chapter 4, verse 7. Genesis chapter 4, verse 7. In that context, who has the desire or what? It is a warning to Cain. Be careful, right? Because sin, desires, same word. Same word. Only used twice is in those two contexts. Sin desires to do what? To master you. To rule you. It's the same word that is used there. So when a man feels threatened and clamps down with control, that's Genesis 3 showing up in his home. But God's call is better. To be strong, to be steady, own your part, stay humble, and don't try to run the whole house by force. That's Genesis 3. The second response is men become passive and submissive towards women. They become passive and submissive towards women. And this might be even more common today, actually. Mom over-cared, over-directed, or over-rescued, so the boy learned, if I wait, somebody will do what?
Take care of me.
Take care of me. If I wait long enough, somebody's going to take care of me. Now he grows up to be a man, and he lives like a passenger. He avoids decisions. He avoids the risk. He needs approval first. He leans too hard on the woman to do what? Everything. To mother him. He had an umbilical cord to mom emotionally. He grows up, but instead of cutting the cord, he pulls that cord and he takes it into adulthood. And then he starts looking for another woman to do what? To plug that cord into. So, that's right. So she can give him what mom gave him. Care, soothing, managing his feelings. Oh, pobrecito, you're right. Right? Handling life for him. Oh, I'll take care of it. It's umbilical cord, yanked from one, and put into another one. That result is he goes after a stronger woman. And I gotta admit, I went towards somebody who was assertive. But this is a very assertive person. If I don't lead, I put her in that situation where she will dominate, which is why I'm very careful with that. Found her very attractive. And it's only in hindsight I look back, I'm like, well, of course. Because she'd take care of me. She'd take care of the house, she'd take care of everything. The thing is, that at its core, it's us wanting a mother wife. And you're like, no. In practice, is it not true? He wants her to manage him, soothe him, carry him, decide for him. And it shows up like this. He puts a high weight on his feelings, and he often wants his wife's approval before he'll commit to a decision. Because you don't want to mess up. In the crashing of South Austin church plant, which I was part of, leading and then just bringing it down, I found myself very indecisive. Just connecting with people and sending emails and texts. There wasn't an email that I didn't first run through Marisa. What is this? Is this email okay? Does it read right? Do you think they'll get offended or not? No? Okay, send. Right? Passive. Can you do it for me? Can you figure it out? This is the passive approach. This is the approach of, And I don't know what to do. What do you think, Marisa? Okay. Wonder what mom thinks. Wonder what your mom thinks. What did she say? And all of a sudden, it's like, what did she think? What did she think? What did he think? What did the other one think? That's the passive way of making decisions. That's not even decision making. That's the decision, quote, makes itself. And in reality, it doesn't make itself. And so you might think, oh, but she found me attractive. Oh, yeah. It's because she might have been like, oh, he's a sensitive. It's a sensitive one. And then it's like, why can't you get off your butt and do something? She starts asking herself, why am I doing everything? And her resentment grows because of our passivity. I don't want you to miss this. The goal isn't to become harsh, and the goal is actually to not become passive. The goal is healthy strength, healthy leadership, healthy insight, healthy direction. When the wife becomes a project manager, I'm going to hit on some toes right now on this one, including my own. When the wife becomes the project manager of the whole home, the bills, the kids, the schedule, the decisions, and the guy says, just tell me what to do. It sounds humble, but over time it feels like she married a partner and got a dependent person. The goal is to be a steady man that's not being controlled without controlling her. A man who can lead with love without getting pushed and without pushing her around either. It's so easy to disconnect and be like, whoa, she takes care of everything. Guess what? You have been charged, it's going to be in future sessions, but you have been charged to give spiritual direction. You're the captain of the ship. Yes, you ask your spouse for wisdom, for insight. God has made him very unique. A good leader asks other people, what are your thoughts? But a good leader doesn't lock himself without being able to make decisions because of his wife. Scripture, 1 Kings chapter 21. Here's the flip side. Passivity invites a takeover. Passivity invites a takeover. If you want a picture of it, 1 Kings chapter 21, verse 1 through 15 is a perfect picture. It's the story of Ahab and Jezebel. It's the story of Ahab and Jezebel. Ahab wants a piece of property from someone else. Matter of fact, 1 Kings 21, verse 1. It says, now there was a man named Naboth from Jezreel who owned a vineyard in Jezreel beside the palace of King Ahab of Samaria. So this dude owns a property next to Samaria, next to next to the palace of King Ahab. One day Ahab said to Naboth, since your vineyard is so convenient to my palace, I would like to buy it to use as a vegetable garden. I will give you a better vineyard in exchange, or if you prefer, I will pay you for it. But Naboth replied, the Lord forbid that I should give you the inheritance that was passed down by my ancestors. Property means big in Israel. It's big for the Jewish person. You don't just give up your property. You don't just give it up, because it's connected to your family. So Ahab went home angry and sullen. Guys catch that? He went home angry and sullen. Adult temper tantrum. Because Naboth's answer, the king went to his bed with his face to the wall and refused to eat. Does that not sound like an adult temper tantrum? Does that not sound like a little boy? I didn't get my property. I'm going to go to my room, lay there, and just look at the wall. I'm not eating today. That's what this grown man is doing. And I put it that way, but how many times do we find ourselves that way? Say, what's the matter? His wife Jezebel asked him. What's made you so upset that you're not eating? I asked Naboth to sell me his vineyard or trade it, but he refused, Ahab told her. Are you the king of Israel or not? This is code for, are you a man or you're not a man? Jezebel demanded, "Get up and eat something, and don't worry about it. I'll get you Naboth's vineyard." Oh, mijo. Don't worry. What do you want? Oh, honey. Oh, you want the property? Don't worry about it. I'll get it for you. Don't worry about it. I'll get it for you. I know you're the king and the man, but I'll get it for you. So she wrote letters to Ahab, doing his assignment too, doing his essay. So she wrote letters in Ahab's name, sealed them with his seal, and sent them to the elders and other leaders of the town where Naboth lived. In her letters, she commanded, "Call the citizens together for a time of fasting and give Naboth a place of honor, and then see 2 scoundrels across from him who will accuse him of cursing God and the king. Then take him out and stone him to death." So the elders and other town leaders followed the instructions Jezebel had written in the letters. They called for a fast and put Naboth at the prominent place before the people. Then the 2 scoundrels came up and sat down across from him, and they accused Naboth before all the people, saying, "He cursed God and the king." So he was dragged outside the town and stoned to death. The town leaders then sent word to Jezebel, "Naboth has been stoned to death." When Jezebel heard the news, she said to Ahab, "You know the vineyard, Naboth? Naboth won't sell you? Well, you can have it. You can have it now, baby." My translation. "You can have it now. He's dead." So Ahab immediately went down to the vineyard of Naboth to claim it. Oh, off of his depression. No longer depressed. Ahab wants it, but he won't lead. He gets told no, and instead of acting like a man, he pouts. The passage says he was sullen and angry, and he refused to eat. What I like to call adult temper tantrum. Jezebel steps in and takes over. She basically says, "Are you the king or not? Are you a man or not? Get up, cheer up." Then she does what? He goes out there. Does she do it the right way? No. She forges a letter. She forges his signature. And Ahab stopped her, right? She gets the party. Ahab was like, "Baby, don't do that. No. I don't want to do what Abraham did and what Adam did. Don't do it. Don't do it." He didn't. This is Eden again. This is Eve 2.0. This is Ahab following the trend of Adam. We saw the progression. The answer isn't becoming harsh. The answer is not staying passive. The answer is steady strength. A person who takes responsibility and leads without running over her. So this is somewhat the challenge for you guys. Here's one ask for the week, and that's this. This week, identify one place you're still emotionally plugged into mom, and take one small boundary step. Some of you still have a mom. She's still kind of in your life. A boundary is something that's clear that protects what God put you in charge of, your relationship with your spouse. Now, in some cases, you're going to have to put boundaries in your own relationship. So, I want you to be clear on this. Your spouse, those of you who are married, is not asking for you to be perfect. He's just asking you to be present and to be solid. That's what she's asking. So, for some of us, it's time we cut the emotional cord, set some healthy boundaries with our moms. In some cases, we'll discuss this more next week, is how do you do that with your spouse? You're one of the guys that married somebody that is dominant, assertive, and you're like, man, how do I begin the process of leading? Well, you first have to heal first. You might be thinking, well, what does it look like? Well, some of you got bummed. They're like, come on. Well, next week we'll talk about how to have healthy attachment with your wife. Because in its core, that's what your wife really wants, for you to have a healthy attachment with her. You guys ready for next week? Well, any thoughts, conversations, anything that's